How can we determine if we have a minimum or maximum when dealing with quadratic functions? So remember, when you're talking about quadratic functions, they make a parabola shape. They either open up or they're open down. That's how you can tell whether it's a maximum or minimum, by identifying whether it opens up or down. So we have to test our leading number here, so we have to test our a. So we look at our problem, f of x equals negative x squared minus 4x minus 1. Our leading number here, it's understood to be negative 1. And then you look at your a. Is your a positive or negative number? In this case, we're dealing with a negative number, so because it's negative, it tells us that this specific parabola is going to open down. So I know we're going to have a maximum point just by identifying what our a value is. Now, if we're interested in finding the actual point, well, because we're dealing with this form, we have to find our x value, and we find our x value by taking negative b over 2a. So we have negative, in this case our b is a negative 4 over 2, a is negative 1. So that's how we get 4 over negative 2, which will simplify to the value of negative 2. So now we have the x value of our vertex, we're missing our y value. So we take our x value that we found here and we plug it into our function. So we have negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 minus 7. So be careful with your negative sign. So we have negative, this becomes positive 4, negative times negative becomes a positive a, minus 7, so we end up with a negative 3. So our vertex is the point negative 2, negative 3, and because our parabola is going to open down, we know we are dealing with a maximum. So if you come across a word problem where they're asking you to find the number of, in this case for our review, it says find the number of automobiles that must be produced to minimize the cost. So look at your function. Our cost function is modeled by a quadratic function. If we're talking about minimizing the cost, then we know we're going to be dealing with a minimum point. So all they're referring to is the vertex point. So if we're trying to find the vertex here, we take x is the value of negative b over 2a. So our b value in this case is negative 32 over 2. A is 4. So that's how we end up with the value of positive 32 over a. And we get, if you plug this in your calculator, you should end up with 4. So that means when you produce 4 different automobiles, your cost is going to be the minimum cost to produce it. Because if you look at your a here, our a is 4, and it's a positive number, so it's going to open up. So we know our vertex is at the minimum point of our parabola. So the x value here will be 4. So the minimum amount of automobiles to produce would be 4 in order to minimize the cost.